So Sam, often we get asked when we go through this process, why are there so many defects out there?
Well, Danny, where do we start with that one? Well, I think it's been a problem over a number of years. I mean, we can look at what's happened with the building surveying industry. There was deregulation of that back in, for the last 26 years or so, that has caused a lot of these issues. There have been the lack of oversight on site. We used to have the clerk of works that would be on major construction sites, for example, that were there partly to ensure that the works were being done properly. We had we had a lot more skill on site. Site managers were more skillful in a lot of ways, and they wouldn't accept poor quality. I have a favourite older builder of mine that we work with who said back in his day he would go along the ground floor when plaster was putting up and put a hammer through every bit of plaster that wasn't done properly. There was pride in work, and I feel that these days that people are just rushing to get the job done. There's pressure on developers to get from developers to get the lowest cost. Builders are going in at very, very low margins. They're putting pressure on their subcontractors to get to lower their costs, and so all these things are tying in to poor quality on site.
Yeah, that's super interesting. For me, from my perspective as well, to add on to that, do you think, effectively, is it ever going to get better at this point, or given the trajectory we're on with, developers pushing and crunching numbers, where do you sit with that?
Well, I think the new Building and Plumbing Commission in Victoria is trying to sort that out and is trying to get better quality on site. They're holding over funds from developers to ensure this happens. I think we've obviously seen changes in New South Wales that are putting with the DBPA involved that are trying to improve things, and I think Queensland is sitting a bit behind the other two states with that at the moment, but I think there'll be a change. I have a feeling that ultimately Victoria will follow much closely to the New South Wales model.
That kind of ties into what I'm just thinking next as well, because oftentimes owners themselves don't want to address defects for the obvious reasons of it being costly. What do you have to say about that?
Quite a bit, actually. So if you put your head in the sand and pretend things aren't happening, things don't get better. Most of the work that we do, as you know, is around waterproofing. When water gets in your building, it just does more and more damage, which means costs go up. I mean, an example of this is a building that we worked on that had a quote to fix it a few years ago for $250,000 or $300,000, and then because the committee put their head in the sand so much, there was so much resultant damage to apartments below these balconies that there was mould, there was water damage to the structure, that it cost them $3 million to do. And so what I always say is stitch in time saves none. Get in early, identify your defects, and get those fixed and get on with life is what I...
And again, it ties into what we might have discussed earlier in terms of communication. Sometimes you have no choice but to bite the bullet, but in doing so, you gain significant more upend for your future and your investment and your property as a whole, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you see, you and I walk down the street together and we look at buildings sitting, across the way from each other, and that this building that has been maintained, the value of the properties in that building are far superior to the one that hasn't been maintained. And it is like, an analogy is a building site. A clean building site is one that is generally one that is really good.
Yeah.
A clean building, painted, maintained, it's always going to be much better.
No, that's so true. And also, just thinking of this whole situation here, we always talk about end clientele being owners corporations and owners committees. What's the role of the strata manager in all of this?
Strata manager plays a pivotal role. Now, the strata manager, while they don't have, and nor should they have, the construction or the remediation expertise, they play a key role in being a part of the team with the committee, with us, and ultimately with the builder at the end of the day. So they are the linchpin. When there's a strata manager that is not a part of the team, often things go wrong and communication fails.
Yeah, and that's something we like to address early on when we run our projects as well. We always try and include the strata manager and explain what we expect from them through a project, because as you are aware, they are a key linchpin, as you mentioned, in sending out comms to residents that we put together. And if that doesn't happen accordingly, unfortunately, then we have a few angry owners or residents. Added to this, do you reckon that a good strata manager should also almost take responsibility to educate their committees as well about, sitting on defects and what those issues might turn out to be in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They need to be there and explaining why work needs to be done, or why we need to get a defect report done to ascertain what the issues are, and then not only get the defect report done, because often we see defect report done after defect report, but then no action taking place, which comes back to the point I made earlier, stitching 9 times saves 9, that you get in and fix those issues as you identify them. So how we do it, we have a defects report that has a traffic light system that highlights the critical things that need to be done. And so it's very clear for the OCs that they need to address those and then move on.
And I think a key thing about how we communicate, but also how we almost author our reports, is simplifying, right?
Yep.
We love to simplify the content so that the owners can digest the information, which ultimately means that you will get a better result when it comes to in resolutions and getting a collective of all the owners involved through that process. To add to that, would you have anything to say? Because this happens to us often. We'll go through a process of scoping and tender, we'll get the prices in, and then of course you can't go through construction, generally speaking, without having the collective owners resolve to proceed.
Yep.
What do you have to say about that? Because we've had a few instances where the significantly important projects for the broad audience stall at that stage.
I think where we communicate a lot up to and including tender time is with the committees themselves. And that is excellent. Post-tender and post a recommendation to appoint a contractor, it is really important then to bring the broader audience, being all the rest of the owners, into the picture. And so what we like to do is have an owners information evening post-tender to bring owners on a journey. Many of them don't know what's been going on, and we like to start at the start and say what the issues are, why they need to be fixed, what the costs are to fix them, and also tell them the repercussions if they don't fix it. And the story I mentioned earlier about the $250,000 to $3 million project, and through that process we want to go through all the emotions from anger. They're going to be angry with us that we're telling them the bad news. Then they go through to denial, and we answer all their questions and rebut their questions. And then finally, they're not happy about it, but they've got acceptance that, okay, we know we need to undertake the works. These are the reasons why, and we're going to maintain our insurance on the property, and we're going to have a better quality asset at the end of the day.
That acceptance and denial component is so true, and we see that every day through our meetings as well. I think, if I could say it, I think one of our key strengths is to be able to go into these rooms, have genuine conversations with the owners themselves, and actually creating that independence and governance for the project, allowing the owners corporation committee to almost be a third party to this process. Because oftentimes there can be a lot, or what I realize is there can be a lot of animosity from owners and owners corporation committees, because it's, these things cost money, whether it's $100 or $1,000, they cost money, and when money is involved, oftentimes people tend to get very upset. Okay, what do you think about our role in that situation? Is there a merit in saying that our involvement plays a critical role in pushing these projects along beyond that stage?
100%. Our role is critical at this point of those owners' information evenings to highlight why it's so important before it goes to ballot. Then at the ballot stage, we're very open to being there to discuss any final questions that need to occur at that point. But then it's really critical that as you were saying before, the strata manager and us are working closely to push this ahead, because they've wasted if they don't go ahead at this point, they've wasted a lot of money out to that point, but they're not actually addressing the issues that need to be addressed. And so it's critical.
Yeah. So Sam, if you were to summarize all of this, what would you suggest that owners corporation committees should do should they hit this an element or they find some defects in their building?
Often we see that owners have had a plumber out and they've spent $10,000-$12,000 worth trying to plug holes with silicone. And once you get to that point, then you really need to be engaging a professional, in my view, to come out, do an assessment on the building, find out exactly what's wrong, and then work out a way to fix it. By trying to do it yourself doesn't often work. And so engage a professional, get out there, scope the works out, tender it out properly, and then make sure you get on with and fix those issues.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Thank you.